Hi there, my name is Ash McMillan. I am a communication studies major and film studies minor and graphic design minor. I just want to introduce myself before I went into my presentation. Before I begin, I'd like to say thank you for coming to the 2020 Virtual Summer Scholars Family Weekend Symposium. I'm really excited to talk to you about my research, so let me get right into it. During my Summer Scholars research, I was able to develop my research skills by organizing and statistically analyzing film reviews from 1930 and 1955. After a summer of growth and newfound appreciation for the work I have been discovering with the guidance and partnership with Dr. John Nichols, I'm excited to present this research with you all. So now a little background for my research. During the production code era, which was composed between 1930 and 1955, Hollywood dealt with challenging content that centralized in films and how they should be reflected, such as morality, sexuality, violence, and family. Films in Hollywood were not afforded the right to free expression and thus could be legally censored from local communities, state censorship boards, and federal agencies. The Great Depression and World War II were part of this particularly intense period in society. Therefore, censors would strive for content that focused on the war effort and traditional ideals. Due to this censorship, a compilation of weekly assessments were produced by a well-known periodical called The Unbiased Opinions of Current Motion Pictures, which had its assessment written from over various national community organizations for women. Dr. Nichols and I's research included the collection and analysis of the assessments included in the Unbiased Opinions of Current Motion Pictures periodical, which showcases the reorientation of the film censorship during the production code era. This research really allowed us to focus on the developing aesthetics of film appropriation and film analysis. For our methods, this nearly 6,000-page document is only available through select special collections in the United States. When made available through Interlibrary alone, the issues were scanned, organized, copy edited, and then analyzed using an online textual analysis and text mining program, Buoyant Tools. We analyzed and compared the club's film reviews according to genre, distinct keywords, and specific social issues in order to determine common patterns across the clubs, as well as each club's particular focus and interest with regard to film reform. For the results of our research, we categorized the women's clubs from the periodical in consideration with certain descriptions apparent throughout the reviews. From this data, we concluded that most groups gravitated towards specific keywords for their film reviews. We discovered that films with asterisks, which is the little star you may see when you call your doctor's office, was noted by the Women's Club as a highly recommended film, while a no asterisk confirmed that the film was just average. We found that films with asterisks, their most frequent words were story, film, life, picture, and cast. On the other hand, films that weren't awarded with an asterisk had the common words of story, good, picture, cast, and music, which was pretty similar. For each individual club, we found attributes to make note of. So for the National Council of Jewish Women and General Federation of Women's Clubs, East Coast, centered focus of the reviews in comparison to other clubs on social aspects rather than technical aspects of the films. As we had predicted, the National Film Music Council prioritized music, the keyword, central in their review process. On the other hand, when the keyword murder was charted, the National Council of Jewish Women gravitated towards this topic in comparison to fellow groups of that same specific special interest groups. For the likewise special interest women's clubs, the Council of Church Women was awarded number 2 in the keywords moral and immoral out of the 12 groups. So surprisingly, when we came down to other specific interest groups, the National Film Music Council's favorite genre is not a musical, but otherwise it was a drama, which had 74 contributions of reviews. For comedy, it was second with 69 contributions, and then musical with 17. Beyond just the clubs, we noticed that the reviews of the comedy generally focused more on technical aspects than with other genres too. So in conclusion, this research is not only organized, charted, and analyzed for a digitized resource of several significant women's clubs reviews of films across a complex period in film history. We're talking about World War II and the Great Depression. Very complex, but also initiates a comparative analysis between women's clubs and a comparative analysis between women's clubs and PCA's review of films. We not only discovered that certain keywords seem specific to certain clubs given their interests, but clubs also reach beyond their missions to address other aspects of film production. In light of this, when we collected data and compared everything that we had contrasted and analyzed, we found that the top 10 popular keywords used throughout all of these reviews. So these top 10 words were story, good, picture, cast, music, comedy, film, and young. This collection of keywords really showcased the priority of 1944 to 1946 and showcases the concern for the youth and cinematic elements of the films that were focused over this whole collection of over 2,000 reviews. And finally, not only was that really interesting, but the most reviewed films during the period we had examined were in the genre of drama, while on the other hand, the least reviewed were children's, swashbuckler, and variety, which are almost completely non-existent in modern day. You don't really hear these that often anymore. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye!